Hello, everybody. Welcome back or welcome to the SirLinksalot podcast. I'm your host, Artemis, and today our guest is a true powerhouse in the marketing world. But also, above all of that, she is a cherished friend and colleague of mine who taught me almost everything that I knew when I was first entering the marketing world during the pandemic. With over 15 years of hands-on experience across everything from SEO and paid advertising to revenue operations and strategy, Kimberly Aho mastered the art of driving growth at every stage of the funnel. Kimberly is a marketing director who leads strategy and execution at a high level, while also running her own consultancy, Sisu Marketing, a name inspired by the Finnish concept of grit, resilience, relentless forward momentum, and honestly, that says everything about how she shows up in the industry. So first of all, Kimberly, welcome to the show. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
The feeling is definitely mutual. So first of all, I just want to kind of hit the ground running. And now that our listeners know and our watchers know about you, I want to hear about the before you. Let us know how you got started in the industry and doing the work that you do right now.
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of jobs. Marketing kind of happened by accident. Obviously, I'm a geriatric millennial. I grew up when the internet came out, and I was on it first thing, building GeoCities and Zanga and LiveJournal and all that fun stuff. So the joys of being an 80s baby, I guess. But I was working nothing related to marketing. I was working in the oil and gas industry, and we got laid off, as happens frequently in that industry. And we moved, and I'm like, okay, what would I be good at? I like the internet. I'm good at visual design. I'm good at some of this stuff. I'm very tech savvy. And I took an administrative assistant, like a marketing admin role at a small agency in Michigan. That's how I started. And I just learned to say yes. So they're like, we need someone to learn SEO. And I was like, I'll do it. We need someone to learn Google Ads. I'll do it. We need someone to learn media buying. I'll do it. So I just learned by doing it. I just said yes, and I figured it out later.
Gotcha. And I feel like people stumbling into the marketing field and then excelling at it is not uncommon because there's so many transferable skills.
Yeah.
I want to know, do you have like an education background in marketing? Sorry, a background in having an education in marketing, or are you mostly self-taught?
Yeah, mostly self-taught. So I did it backwards. So I fell into it and I was like, oh, I'm actually good at this, and got promoted very fast. And then I was like, oh, I should finish my degree. I had done some college, and then I was like, this is not for me. I'm not spending all this money on stuff I don't know if I want to do. So I went back midway through my career, and honestly, I stopped because it just was not. Let me put it this way.
Wow.
Any of the projects I was assigned, there's no fucking way I would use those in real life. There's no way.
So
I was like,
yeah, so you were in marketing and then you decided to go study marketing. And while studying marketing, you realized that it was better to just learn it on the job.
Yeah. And that has proven true over the past. I have beat out people with master's degrees in marketing and business because it's just marketing changes so constantly that the classes and the curriculum do not keep up. So you're much better off just taking a course here and there. Like, you want to learn a new thing, take a specialized course in that thing. You want to learn social media advertising, take a specialized course. So I'm a senior at a university, and I'm maybe a half a semester away, and I have not finished because it's, I have 0 degrees because it just was not worth it to me. So
how important do you think that it is in 2025, like in today's day and age? Like, if people have that degree, do you think it'll help them get forward, or do you feel like it's a waste of time?
It will help at some companies. Like, some companies are going to require that piece of paper, which I think is archaic and insane, because the best marketers are not going to be the ones with that piece of paper. They're going to be the ones that got in it, did it themselves, started a business, just got their hands dirty. That's the best way to learn. So there are, like, some of the FANG companies, the big tech companies, they're going to require that piece of paper. I've never wanted to work at those companies, but also if you know someone, you can probably bypass that. Honestly, if you get a referral at Amazon or Microsoft, you can probably bypass that piece of paper situation. So no, if it's marketing that you want to do, like hands-on marketing, you do not need a degree. Now, college has other perks and things and connections and all that other stuff. So maybe if you just want to have a well-rounded education and you want to have that experience, great. But do you need it for marketing? Probably not.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. And I feel like, as someone who's squarely a millennial, not as geriatric as yourself, but squarely a millennial, I've never in my life had anybody ask me about my degree because my portfolio speaks for itself. And I think that a lot of newer businesses are kind of catching on to that. And you say you've never wanted to work for a FANG company, which a lot of people like yourself who are business owners tend to have that trajectory. So I wanted to know, what was your mindset before, starting your own business? What motivated you to do that? And I want to know about the name as well, like what Sisu is and where that came from.
Yeah. So No, never wanted to do the FANG thing. I did get offered a job at Amazon, but their marketing isn't really marketing. It's kind of like, do this. It's like push these buttons, do that thing. They don't really need it. So I didn't want to do it. Wasn't interested in the golden handcuff situation either. Yeah, starting my own thing kind of happened. I started an agency, then I went in-house here in Seattle, then I went back to an agency here in Seattle, then I went to in-house again, then I went back to the agency, and then I went to a Series A startup because I really wanted to. I've heard that 1 year at a startup is like 10 years anywhere else, and I think that's super accurate. So if you want to learn aggressive marketing and you want to be tired and work a lot and take a lot of risk, especially at a Series A startup, because 70-80% of them fail, you will learn a lot in a very short amount of time. I do recommend it. I was 10 years into my career when I made that decision, and I thought, if I'm going to do it, now is the time to do it, and worth it. But it did not succeed, and I got laid off in 2023. I'd worked there like 14 months and made it through several rounds of mass layoffs. The third one got me, and I decided then there is no fucking way I'm going to work for somebody else again. I was like, it would have to be the exact right scenario and the exact right person, because it's just not fun being hemmed in by somebody who doesn't really understand marketing. So
pretty much you were glad that you worked at the startup, but that's also the thing that kind of pushed you into realizing that you never wanted to do this again.
Yeah. I just thought, like, man, I'm really tired of having like C-suite people who don't understand marketing tell me the wrong things to do because that's what they want, even though it's the wrong thing. So,
right. Unfortunately, that's a startup tale as old as time. I'm curious, right now, are your clientele also startups, or do you kind of have them dispersed throughout a couple of other industries?
They're dispersed out. It's largely tech. It's B2B. I hate B2C marketing. I'm not that person.
Really?
I don't. It's so, I don't. Here's the thing about B2B is that it's usually a legitimate product, right?
Right.
With you're just trying to make a business's life easier. I can get behind that. B2C, I'm not knocking it. Obviously, marketing is fun and it exists for a reason, but it's so much more manipulative B2C, right? There's a lot more impulse decisions. B2B decisions are slow. There's several people involved. It takes a long time. And usually it's just like, hey, we have this product. It makes your life easier. And I don't feel bad about marketing that, right? Like, it's like, hey, this actually helps you. I feel good about that. So.
Right. So with B2B, they're mostly like I know that you do have some software clients as well.
Yeah.
Are they mostly in that particular industry?
Most of them are software. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I have one that's service-based, but it still incorporates a software. So, yeah.
Okay. And what services do you normally notice move the needle the most for them? Do they particularly come to you for one specific thing mostly, or is it all over the map with them?
Usually they come to me for one thing and then they realize, like, oh, I don't actually need that thing. I need this thing. So that's how, I guess, to go back to your earlier question about why Sisu and how it started, is I just thought, I mean, to be honest, I've been through some shit, and my mother is Indigenous Finnish, and, so Sisu has kind of been a principle in the back of my mind since I was young. It's a Finnish, it doesn't really translate to English, right? But it essentially, to quote, there's a Sisu movie came out a few years ago. I don't remember, but it opens the movie and it says, Sisu is what manifests when all hope is lost. And so it's sort of, yes. And like, so it is what comes up out of you when you think you have absolutely nothing left. So whatever that energy is that comes up out of you when you're at the bottom and you're like, I cannot anymore, and somehow you find a way to keep going, that's what Sisu is. So ironically, it fit really well for me because, one, it's the story of my life. I've had more rock bottoms than I would care to recount, but also when I end up talking to, I work with a lot of other marketing directors or VPs of marketing or CMOs who just need support. And usually they're like first-time directors, so they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know how to push back against a CEO or a COO who's trying to hem them in. And so it kind of became a thing where it was like, oh, what they actually need is just someone to say, like, actually, no, that's not okay. And like, here's the path. And it's like, usually it starts when they're saying, like, well, where are you guys trying to go? And they don't have an answer because the CEO doesn't have an answer. They're just winging these numbers out there with no methodology. It's like, make us $8 billion next year. And I say, where are you getting that number? And they don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. They haven't looked at the data. They're just literally pulling that out of their ass. And so this is and you know this, you work in marketing. This is the world of marketing. You are held to numbers that mean nothing, that they got out of nowhere. They're just numbers that they want. They're not based in reality. They're not based in fact or data. They're not based in anything other than we want that. Great, that's fine. I can't get that for you because you guys are 75% less than what you think you are or whatever. So most of the services end up being executive coaching. That's what it ends up being. And I end up building a strategy and teaching them how to say like, no, we need these 5 numbers before I can tell you anything. I'm not building you a roadmap at all until I know where you're trying to go and where you're at currently, because I cannot build something from nothing. I need to know where you are. So
Right.
weirdly, people come to me for, demand generation. And I'm like, I'm not building you a demand gen campaign if I don't have these 5 numbers. I need these 5 things or I'm not doing it. So it ends up being more like revenue operations or rev ops and demand gen, and then more strategy and executive coaching than anything else.
Gotcha. But I've definitely seen that situation play out multiple times, as you know.
Yeah,
I want to hear about a time that you've kind of had to tell a client flat out, just no. And how did they react? Because I know that a lot of founders particularly have a little bit of pushback. And I think that every marketer listening will know what that pushback looks like. It's often just kind of based in those kinds of unattainable goals or poorly informed goals, to put it mildly. So what does that look like? And do they accept it gracefully, or do you get pushback?
Yes and no. So I've definitely said no. I've definitely directed people and say like, hey, I am not the consultancy for you. Like, that's not how I'm not going to do that. Like I have a hard time. And then the beauty of having your own thing, right, is me saying like, I got really tired of doing bad things because the client wanted it or the CEO wanted it, even though I knew it was not going to work and I knew it was the wrong approach. It's really demoralizing to do work that is just junk. So I'm very good at saying no. When I look at the lay of the land, I'll say like, hey, I know you guys wanted to do this, but here's actually what you need before we ever get there. Like, you're not ready for that. You don't have the foundation for that. So I either say, hey, I'm not a good agency for you. Like, I do, and I'll defer them to another agency, honestly, because I'm not willing to work with people that I'm not willing to do work that I don't want to do.
Right.
Luckily. And if they do, if they do want me to proceed and I feel like, okay, I usually say, I want to make it really clear that this is not my recommendation. And if this doesn't go well, I want to let you know that this is not what I recommended. And I want, sort of like when you leave the hospital and they're like, this is against medical advice, you have to sign an AMA or whatever. It's sort of like that. It's like, I'm going to put this in writing that this is not my recommendation. If this doesn't work, you're going to sign and say that like, yep, I did this, even though you said it wasn't going to work. So I tend to draw clients that really enjoy my directness. And, I firmly believe that just like standing in who you are, you're going to find the clients that align with you. Mm-hmm. I don't even, if after an initial sales call, I don't vibe, I'm like, nah, sorry, I can tell. You already know this. You can tell when a client's going to be a red flag pain in your ass. And it's just like, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, I actually had this discussion with a colleague of mine who suggested something like a get away from me price, where she would just kind of give an astronomical price with clients that you want to work with. But honestly, I feel like it's a lot better to do your strategy and to just say, look, this is just not aligned with me and it's not aligned with how I want to work. And I wish you well, but just not with my business. So
correct.
Yeah. I feel like your frankness is part of what makes it so ridiculously fun to follow your career in general. And I do follow you on TikTok as well, as you know. And recently, a video of yours actually went viral in the marketing space for, and I quote, let me check my notes, referring to Salesforce as the biggest fucking scam on the planet. Now, Kimberly, I would actually love to hear more about your thoughts on that. And what was the reaction of the marketing community when you shared? Like, how did this go over?
It was split. I knew I was going to get resounding resonance. I did not know it was going to go viral, right? Like, this was a one take 60-second rant after I got out of Salesforce hell.
Was it 60 seconds? It felt long.
It might have been a little longer. It might have been a little longer. I could rant for an entire day about Salesforce, but
it was quite iconic.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't tend to hold back, and like, I am a little bit unorthodox, right? But I lean into that, and I think everyone should lean into their uniqueness, right? Like,
right.
This is the iteration of you that you have. You might as well lean in. And so, yeah, I'm blunt and I swear a lot. Also, Finn swear, by the way, like I've been swearing since I was young. This is not, Like
Oh,
in
don't-
Finland, this is no thing. The word fuck is just,
It's just
a breath.
ingrained.
So
Don't worry. We've also had
Yeah.
Australians on the podcast, so we know how it goes.
So yeah, the Salesforce video. Here's the thing: if you have here is what Salesforce is good for. If you have a very large company, and you can afford several six-figure Salesforce engineers in-house, great, do that thing. But it's a full-time job. Do I think a software should have to hire somebody at a full-time job to function correctly? No, I don't. I think your software is shit if you need full-time admins functioning your fucking software. I think that's psychotic. No. So does it work for extremely large companies who have money to throw at Salesforce engineers in-house? Sure. But their whole business model is an MLM, right? So like they sell you the thing, they're like, here's our partners. And they're like, you have 100 billion Salesforce partners and they make their money by, oh, you can't afford a Salesforce in-house engineer. We'll do it. Why do I have to hire people to re-engineer software that you supposedly, when they're like, yeah, but it's customizable. This is bullshit. This is bullshit language and it's money making and it has nothing to do with anything. So yeah, if you've got a giant company, sure, go to town, build the Salesforce instance of your dreams, spend all the money. That's fine. At the end of the day, this is a CRM. These are flawed. Attribution is flawed. Digital attribution doesn't mean shit. This is why the demand gen space has the open text forms. How did you hear about us? Because you're never going to get it. It doesn't even matter if they put, how did you hear about us? And they say on a podcast. Now that might be how they remember you, but they could have seen an ad. So attribution doesn't fucking matter at the end of the day. It matters what they remembered. The attribution is wherever they remembered you, right? So if they remembered you at a podcast, that's the true attribution. It doesn't matter if they clicked if you can see that they clicked an ad for 4 weeks before that, it doesn't matter because they don't remember. So is that attribution? Does it matter if they fucking clicked an ad 4 weeks before? No, it matters what they remember. So, anyway, so that's my rant about attribution and all CRMs in general. Use it. It's a guide, not the law, right? Like CRMs, digital attribution is a guide. It's an indicator. It's a lagging indicator, no less. So
were the people who had this kind of pushback towards their thoughts on this, were they people who subscribe to the cult of Salesforce?
Oh God, yes. I don't know if you read through any of the comments, but it's very much like, I was just like, oh, okay, like you work for Salesforce. Like you're a partner, you are a salesperson.
Really?
It was very obvious. And I'm like, why are you out here like standing a $1 billion corporation? Like, why do you care? Why are you defending a corporation? What is wrong with
payroll, no less?
Jesus. So I'm like, okay, why? And that's embarrassing to be out here just like defending. Like they need you to come to their defense. They don't give a shit. They haven't. And then that had Salesforce engineers.
So big, they actually just acquired another massive company. I forget what it's called. It starts with an I. So they're not. They're not struggling. They don't need.
No. And part of my beef was that like this is what they do. They buy Tableau. They buy these Pardot. They buy these tiny companies. They mash them together in this Frankenstein of a whatever. Look, now we do marketing stuff. No, the fuck you don't. Pardot, like whatever they call it, cloud engagement, whatever. So much garbage. And that was my rant, is that like, and now the company that this was applicable to, is mid-size, right? 50 employees, know, about 10 million in revenue or whatever. That's perfect for HubSpot, right? That's what HubSpot does. They are the mid-size and lower CRM because it's a hell of a lot easier. And I can code, by the way. Like I was in the Apex code of Salesforce. The comments were most people like, oh, marketing. That's all I had to hear is that basically like marketing people are dummies. And like, I'm the wrong one to say that to because I'm just the wrong one to say that to because not a tech dummy, can code, can do. I'm in there editing the Apex code. I'm the one doing it. So there was that response and it was just like, oh, marketing people are stupid. Oh, you're a HubSpot like pawn. Like,
wait, people thought you were getting paid by that CRM.
Yeah, they thought it was an ad. They were flagging the video as like undisclosed ad. And I was like, y'all. Let's have our undisclosed ad moment right now. I want to know what CRM you recommend most. You said that HubSpot is good for like a mid-sized. Are there any others that come to mind for like the smaller to mid-sized companies that don't have corporate Salesforce MLM money? Yeah. I mean, I'm always going to answer this question. Look, I have recommended CRMs to people from Insightly, which is like, Insightly looks like it's from like 2000. But it's
really
affordable.
you mean the interface?
Yeah,
Oh,
the Insightly
okay.
interface literally looks like it's like a glorified spreadsheet from 2000. It looks like a program from 2000, like when I graduated high school. It's rough, but I have recommended it because it was affordable and it does what people need it to do. And I think my answer is always going to be, what can you afford? And again, I'm always going to start at the end. What is it? Where are you trying to go? What is it that you need? Do you just need it to log emails? Do you just want to see interactions? Do you need to send bulk emails? Is that it? Are you just trying to keep a database? Do you just need Microsoft Access instead? Do you need a spreadsheet instead? Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to
Right.
recommend a CRM based on what you need and where you're trying to go, because and part of the Salesforce video is because I can stand nothing less than saying, you need all of this. No, the fuck you don't. You don't know. Not even every mid-sized company needs HubSpot, right? What is your business model? How's your sales funnel? What do you do? What are your go-to or go-get motions? Like, all of this changes what CRM I would recommend. So HubSpot
Okay.
is also expensive, right? And so sometimes it's going to be Insightly or Keep, or sometimes you don't need any of that. Get a spreadsheet. I don't know. Like, it will completely depend. So I really hate like pat answers of like, this is the one. I don't
Right. It just
really,
depends.
yeah, it just depends.
Gotcha. I get it. I totally get that. And I think that the nuance is something that a lot of people appreciate because one size fits all solutions seem a bit lazy
That's
sometimes.
not real either. Like, it's
Yeah.
just not real, right? So
Right, for sure. And to be honest with you, you seem like you have since you have such vast experience in dealing with different kinds of companies and different industries. I want to know what recommendations you would have if you incorporate things like AI into your workflow at all,
mm.
and how you incorporate that and what softwares that you use as well.
Yeah, so AI, I have a lot of feelings about AI. So here's
It's
my
hot.
yeah, here's my take. It's not going anywhere. So it's not going anywhere. You can scream and cry about it all you want to, but it's not going anywhere. I
Mm,
have, moral disagreements with it because they are building data centers in third world countries or underdeveloped countries and stealing all of their fresh water and decimating their environments without any regulations. They're doing this in Memphis as well. So my issue, if you want to scream about something, scream for policies, scream for regulations,
right.
AI that I think is helpful, transcription AI. I think that's great. I don't want to have to take notes and write everything down. I think transcription AI is excellent. Um, every time you make a query, I'm considerate. The amount of energy that goes into it. If you're going to use it, please use it mindfully. Is my thought.
So when you use AI, you try to keep it minimal, you mean, or
Yeah,
you're very just specific about the kind of queries that you do so that it doesn't
and I
like you
think
don't
you
have to
have to be
do it.
specific, because if you don't, ChatGPT, for example, is only as good as the prompts that you put in. The product of AI, what I get out of AI is not better than, it's not finished, right? You have to prompt
Right.
edit. It is not, what I think it's valuable for is like, it's easier to edit something than to start from nothing. Be wise with your prompts. You really have to guide it, and just know that it's just looking to yes man you. So like, that's what
But
it's there for.
yeah, I,
Um,
I actually saw something about how you can edit your chat GPT's basic function to make it
mhm.
not a yes man, to make sure that the queries that it gives you is actually,
You have to
nuanced
tell it
and
too. Yep,
not like a golden retriever, like, that's a great question. Here's
totally.
how, I can tell
Yeah.
you everything that you're doing is right and you're
100%.
perfect.
That's what it's built for. So
Right.
there's a ton of great podcasts. I just listened to one about, I think it's called Better Offline, and they just did one on the 1st of July about like smartwatches and things, and how like AI kind of sucks, right? Like, it's like, oh, you didn't sleep well. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want me to do about that? Like, the helpful thing for AI to be like, here's some things you can do to fix that, right? But like, I would say AI is not producing anything novel at this point. It's not producing anything good enough or new enough or like self-sufficient enough that it's like interesting to me. I don't know. So,
Right.
do I think it can be helpful? Yes. Do I think people don't really know what they're doing? Yeah, for sure. And I have a lot of like moral qualms with it. But so, do I use it a little
Gotcha.
bit here and there, but ad nauseum? No, I would not, like, even for the team that I run right now, I'm just like, if you're going to use it, have it build an outline for you and then you write it. Or like, because, especially for content, because I
Right,
know that's where
right.
everyone's going. You have to edit it still. It doesn't produce anything actually good, to be honest. That's what it is. So
Right. So right now your stance on AI is it's not going anywhere. it's good as a tool, but not a substitution. And also it's got an impact that people really need to be considered about.
Correct. Yes.
Gotcha. I think that a lot of people are on the same page. And honestly, with the implementation of a lot of AI tools are becoming really hesitant in general. But again, things like that are moving forward. So I think that finding ways to make it more sustainable and finding ways that 100%. To make it more ethical is definitely a good call, because again, it's staying for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah. In general, since AI is also a hot topic, I want to bring things to current marketing landscape with you and your thoughts on those. So right now, the economy is looking a little bit uncertain in many industries for multiple different reasons, and they're experiencing a lot of volatility, especially in US markets right now. So I want to know, what advice do you have for businesses who are looking to kind of shift their marketing strategy as a response to the uncertainty going on in the world?
Sure. And I would tell people to be really careful about, I would tell any marketing director to be very careful when shifting based on uncontrollables. Of course, you might have to. So obviously I'm US based. I have had to make some adjustments, right? So some of the work I do, without getting too specific, is in the biotech space, and a lot of research industries were heavily impacted by the administration change. There's always a wobble in the market with any administration change, but this one aggressively so. So now this is a global biotech software. So the benefit of that is saying, okay, who does have money to spend right now? It's not that we pulled out of like marketing to the US. It's just that we might have inflated or shifted dollars to the European market or the Asian market or South Africa or Australia, who does have money to spend and who isn't feeling the brunt of adjustments that the US is currently enduring. I'm always going to say tread with caution, because much like the stock market, right? Like it ebbs and it flows. It goes up and down, sometimes for longer, sometimes for shorter. Your ICP is still your ideal customer is still your ideal customer. It just might change who or when or where. And so I'm always hesitant to tell people to make a big shift. Big shifts are risky, because usually at the end of the day, your product or your service is meant for a certain set of people, and those people still exist. You might have to change how you go about it, but where they are and how they interact and if they need it, especially in the B2B space, it's not going to change that much. B2C, it might wobble much harder. And I would tread with caution on that same thing. It might be like, where are you targeting? It's the same kind of people, but where are they? Maybe you target a different where. That's
gotcha.
Yeah.
Your skepticism towards that shift in B2C tickles me a little bit. So do you think that in general with B2B, when they're dealing with these massive shifts, it should be more of a subtle change to kind of pivot and see where things go, instead of making like a massive strategy update and seeing what happens?
Yep. And I have made, like in any of my programs since January, very small changes. And some of that's just like a little more dollars to Europe, a little more dollars to Australia in ad spend, or messaging changes a little bit, right? Or we say we're offering a preliminary, you have to work with the product team typically and say, maybe we need to have a discount. What kind of discount? Can we throw in a functionality? Because differentiation is everything, especially in a down market. So it's really has to be collaborative with sales, product, revenue, the whole thing.
Right. So when you see one of these little changes, say you throw a little bit more money towards Australia in ad spend, and you see that actually has a larger response than you're expecting to, do you think that it would be safe to go ahead and just kind of shove more budget and make more drastic change? Or do you think that it would make more sense to wait still until the volatility is a little bit more certain in the B2B space, of course?
Yeah, I think, so I can use this real life example. So we did shift more dollars to Australia, and we got plenty more like legitimate leads from Australia. And it's okay, well, maybe we have just not tapped Australia. And so like marketing is this, right? It's test everything and learn. Some things are going to work and some things aren't. The whole point, and to steal from Amazon, not because I love Amazon, but it isn't about did that work or not. It's like, what did you learn? This is an Amazon principle. It does not matter. Like I ran a several $1 million project at Amazon that bombed, not because the marketing was bad, but because the people didn't want it. And that's what it was, a test to see if people wanted it, and they didn't. So it's like, they don't give a shit if something doesn't work. It's like, but what did you learn? Because the value is in what you learn, right? Like you run a test, it doesn't work. And especially in marketing, where you can do something for 6 months and it can crush it, and then it stops working and it will never work again. And you have to pivot. That is what marketing is. Something that works yesterday doesn't work today. Something that will work tomorrow won't work the day after that. So you have to be willing to say, oh, well, this is not working. Let's make an adjustment, right? And that's
Right.
Market changes really aren't any different than that. It's like, okay, we got to, well, the US isn't really like cranking it right now, so we got to try something else. But I'm always just looking for what can we learn.
Gotcha. And that's definitely a gem that a lot of marketers, especially the newer ones, can definitely take back, because the entire process is constantly shifting.
Yes.
And keeping up sometimes can be a little bit much.
It's exhausting. Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
You really have to have, you have to hold loosely to things as a marketer. And I think that is critical. If you are not good with change and marketing's not for you, like, because you have to hold loosely to how you do things, what you do, what tools you're using. You really have to hold loosely to things and be okay letting go, changing, pivoting at any moment. So like if you don't like change, don't go into marketing. It's not for you.
Solid advice. And I definitely second that. But for me, that's actually one of the more fun parts of it. So
Same.
Speaking of change, I know that you're changing a little bit right now in Sisu on the back end. I know that your website is under construction and some shifts are happening. So I want to know what's next for you and your business.
Yeah, that's a great question. So a little bit of it is under construction. So Sisu Marketing, the website, is still stood up and is what it is. I've always known that like marketing's not my forever thing, right? I'm very good at it, but more than that, I realize like what I'm really good at is problem solving. It much in the Sisu fashion. Somehow I'm really able to, when people are like, it's impossible, like there's just no way, I'm really good at saying, okay, like, is that true? And really narrowing down on like how someone can move forward. And some of this just goes into like my own personal journey as well, but it's still in the Sisu spirit. So Sisu Marketing will become Sisu HQ, which is already a thing. And that's the website that's under construction. And so
I see.
It will still be consulting in a large capacity. I'm still working out the business model a bit, but it's going to be consulting. So whether that's business or just like, I've gone through some shit in my life as well. So I tend to have a knack for helping people figure it out. I'm that person that when I might not hear from somebody for 6 months and then they call me and they're like, help me. Right. And I used to find that insulting, except I realized that people come to me because they only come to me when they're like ready to hear a hard truth though. When it's like, hey, actually.
I see. Someone is going to drop a truth bomb, even though they might not have been ready to hear it before.
Correct. So it'll look more like consulting for really that, when it's like, when people are like, I am stuck and I do not know how to go forward. I don't care if that's their business, their personal life, or whatever it is. So it's not fully fledged out, as you can hear, but I am super excited about it. It's very core to who I am. It feels like who I am. And this just feels like the time to be like, I'm just going to lean harder. I have always benefited from just leaning harder into who I am and like how I'm wired. And people respond to that, much like the TikTok thing. When I'm being my most authentic self, that's what people respond to. And like, if I could tell anyone anything, like that's your way. That is the way forward. Whatever your most authentic, what resonates most in your body, what is your most authentic self, that's your way forward. Don't try to be somebody else. I get jobs easily because I'm never pretending, right? I'm never pretending. I'm always just saying, hey, this is me. It may not work for you. And that's okay. Like, you're not for everyone and everyone is not for you. And like, that's the point. And that's a marketing principle, by the way. Like, your product's not going to be for everybody. And if it is for everybody, it's probably a really weak product. So
yeah. And it sounds like this is kind of already what you do for businesses, just on like on a scale where you're not getting compensated fairly for, where you're just giving them.
And I think that's what it came down to. 100%. It was like, oh, I'm actually doing this anyway. And it was like, oh, this is actually what this is people are asking me, like, how do I get unfucked? Like, I'm like, maybe that should be my tagline. Just like,
how do I unfuck my business?
How do I unfuck my business? Yeah, I mean, that ends up, that's what I do pretty much. So and I love it. I love problem solving. I'm not intimidated by much because I've been through a lot. And that's part of I know, the Sisu always comes out, right? So like I've been in a lot of bottoms in business and otherwise, and it always works out. Like, we're all still here, right? Like, think of all the bad things you've gone through. You're still here. You survived that thing. The thing you thought you weren't going to survive, you survived, right? So that's kind of what Sisu is like, it'll come up out of somewhere, right?
I think that that's also something that a lot of people making a huge career shift will need to hear right now. Like, if people are, whether they're shifting either into marketing or into a different modality of marketing, or trying to move with the punches when it comes to all of the not just industry updates, but updates with things like AI, where things are looking way different for a lot of different businesses and how people decide to run their companies, and even down to like the specific employee level of how everybody's everyday workflow goes. You're going to need a lot of resilience because, you know, literally anything can happen at this point, and that makes it super exciting. Personally, I think that I'm excited for the future changes of the industry, but it does take a lot of resilience in order to kind of weather those changes. And I think that that's something that a lot of people, if they didn't know the need to hear it, now that they heard it, I know that they'll be grateful that they did.
Yes. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. Yep. It's a volatile market to be career changing or looking for a job. It's also a good time to make a career change because it's volatile. You know, I'm here in Seattle, obviously, so the Microsoft layoffs are large and looming, and several of my friends have been affected by that. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And my advice is always going to be like, what lights you up? Like, there's a great exercise to, like, if you go through a whole day, write down anytime you finish an activity, anytime you interact with a person, just write down if it left you energized or drained. And this is something I did to say, like, okay, I really hate that. Like, I would finish a thing and say, did I like that? Do I feel more excited about this thing? Or like, I just talked to that person, I had this conversation. Did I actually like that? You could do this with your personal life as well. But like, I think even if you're in a role now looking to change your job, as you go through your day, checking your email, do you like doing that? Does that make you energized? Do you like sorting stuff? Is that energizing for you? Now you have to do some spreadsheet stuff. Does that energize you? Do you like doing that? Now you have to write something. Did you like doing that? Did it leave you energized or drained? This is how you can sort of piece out what, especially in marketing where you can pick hundreds of different veins to go down. What do you like? What lights you up? What makes you energized? Because you're going to be a better career fit for that, and it will come out naturally in an interview anyway. So.
Gotcha. I think that's pretty solid advice. Actually, I'm going to keep that one in my back pocket for me too, because even when you're listing the things that, you know, you have to inventory in your life, I'm thinking, oh, I love spreadsheets. Said literally nobody.
Me
except for this psycho.
Except for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, I feel like it's something that a lot of people will benefit from, as is all of the gems that you dropped today, just these nuggets of wisdom, which I really thank you for. And also, if you guys haven't had the pleasure of watching somebody cuss at a major multi-billion-dollar software company online, I highly suggest you do that. It is quite amusing.
That's what I'm here for.
And in the meantime, I really want to thank you for taking the time to chat and to give everybody some insight on what's going on in not just your world, but in the marketing world in general. All right, well, thank you so much. And to all of our watchers and listeners, I will catch you guys very soon.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you found value in this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay up to date with the latest in SEO strategies. For more in-depth resources and premium link building services, visit us over at SirLinksalot.co. And if you're looking to connect with other SEO professionals, join the conversation in our Facebook group over at the SEO Roundtable. Thanks a lot.